mentioned Bruce Klingner, a former CIA Deputy Division Chief for Korea, a senior fellow at the Heritage Foundation. Bruce, as you watch this play out, and now we get this comment, very opaque from the president about going off to sign something, what's going through your mind?
Well, I want to see the communique. I want to see the details. So, what I'm hoping for is very detailed, North Korean movement towards embracing the UN-required CVID that North Korea must do, not only for its nuclear weapons, but for its missiles and its biological and chemical warfare. I'm hoping North Korea will embrace that. There's a lot of skepticism about it. We also hope there could be some comments by North Korea about its human rights, but I think that's unlikely. And we're hoping that there's not a lot of movement on a peace treaty or peace declaration, since that could have an impact on U.S. forces in South Korea. That we want to see a addressing of the North Korean conventional threat to the South before we move down the path very far on a peace declaration or a peace treaty.
I mean, Bruce, are you surprised at this point that anything of substance is being signed this quickly, or do you think it's possible to have even just the most basic framework, or that they agreed to what they accomplished today and kind of where they go from here?
Well, there should be some joint statement, and that's something that usually is worked out before the two leaders come into the country. So a bottom-up approach would have had an agreement, hopefully as detailed as possible. By doing this top-down approach, it's much more unscripted, much more uncertain, much less predictable. So we really don't know if it's more of a commemorative statement or whether it's a very detailed agreement that's been worked out ahead of time, not only by Secretary of State Pompeo, but more recently by the working level officials that have been working at Panmunjom as well as in Singapore.
Okay, Eli Lake writes this in Bloomberg. Trump wants this man to give up an apocalyptic arsenal in exchange for the promise of normal relations with a great power the tyrant's family has demonized for nearly 7 decades. The president and his supporters want us to call all of this statesmanship, but given the regime's history and its nature, it's more accurate to call this summitry what it is, a shakedown. Your response?
Well, I think anyone who's been working North Korea for any length of time is pretty cynical and skeptical. We've had 8 previous agreements with the North that North Korea either cheated on or didn't fulfill. So we certainly hope this time is different, but the devil is in the details. One of the things I've long advocated is that with the previous agreements with North Korea, they were very short, very vague. What we need to have is the sort of detailed contracts that we had, say, with the Soviet Union, the arms control treaties. Also, the previous agreements with North Korea lacked sufficient verification. So we need very detailed agreements that clearly delineate everyone's requirements, and we also need sufficient verification.
All right, Bruce Klingner, thank you for lending us your expertise tonight. Great to have you with us.
Thank you.
And Jason, you as well.
Thank you.
Stick around.
Thank you.
There might be more pizza for you. I don't know. All right, we're going to play that soundbite where the president just came out. He mentioned some kind of